here. So today, why contractors make better real estate investors. Uh, this is really almost always the case because it's having that extra, set of skills that can really come in handy, and it gives you a more more diversity. In other words, it's easier for you to take home properties that require work, and it doesn't matter if you're a drywall contractor or a tile person or a plumber, or, drywall framer, whatever. I was actually talking to a framer this morning, and actually it reminded me of this image. This is actually a kind of an improvement that I did to one of my buildings, and I'll actually show you that building as well. If you just got here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you want to learn about making money in real estate, you found the right place. I've been doing it for 4.5 decades, and I can just tell you, there's just not a better way to make money. And especially if you've got a set of skills, if you've got a skill set, it's the best thing in the world, because just being familiar with reading a tape measure, and kind of by osmosis when you're on jobs, if you've been a subcontractor for any amount of time, you kind of know talent when you see it. I tell people, you kind of know when you're a contractor what tile guy you're going to hire, because they're the guys that you see on jobs more often. If you're a framer or if you're a cabinet guy like I was for a long time, you kind of know who's good by who survives and who's been in business a long time. But like this little building you see behind me off to the side here, this is a building I paid $1,050,000 for it. And I was offered, considerable amount more not long after I purchased it. But it's because of the location. And then, of course, I made it even look better. And I can show you what it looked like before and after, too, here in just a little bit. But is there any contractors out there? Is there anybody out there that is building homes or is a subcontractor, doing make-readies or remodels or any type of stuff like that? Because there's a lot of reasons that contractors can find opportunities that may not be so obvious to everyone else, but also just simply having the ability to improve things so dramatically and so quickly. But I'll talk about this building just a little bit. Actually, I'm going to show you guys. I'll give you a tour around just a little bit. If you just got in here again, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and comment when you want to. Or if there's any topic you want me to cover, I'll certainly give it a shot. So let's look at this. Yeah, actually, I remember that. Actually, I own this. Is my sister right here. So we're putting in the steel now. All that. That's the structural steel. See that channel there? A lot of people don't understand this. And now when you framing this stuff is easy, but you have to hire a structural engineer to tie this, because when you put in something like that, on top of the roof, say this is the roof, and you have this, and you're creating more wind resistance and everything else. But so it's important that you make sure, because if something blows over and hits somebody, you want to make sure that a structural engineer wrote off on it. So that's what I had here. You see, and basically what he had us do, and I'll give you a little bit bigger picture here. So what I do is I have some 4-inch angle iron that I rested on some probably 1/4-inch wall, square tubing that went into the building about 8-10 feet. It welded on top of some of the purlins and things that are in there, and sets on top of the outside beam of the wall. And all this stuff is welded in, ties into that, because wind energy, I'm telling you, wind can really, it can rip stuff to pieces. You've seen what a hurricane can do. So you got to be hurricane proof, or and really, I remember we joked. I said, man, we're not taking this, no, this isn't a mobile. I mean, this is really heavy built, heavy tie-in. But that's what you got to do to cover your ass. And of course, you want it to be safe for people that are out there. Other things I got going here today. Actually, this is something I took a picture of because everybody should know about this too, is whenever you put in, if you're ever digging and you see sand, stop digging, because it means there's something there. And it's probably not going to be pick or shovel friendly. That's when you start really being dainty and digging carefully, because, for instance, whenever you put a gas pipe in, you always want to put, I try to put a foot of sand above it, because, it just takes one pick coming through and catching that pipe. A friend of mine one time, he was on air base, and they were landing like a secret jet. And so, when they land this stuff on these air bases, this one's out in the desert, they tell you everybody's got to go in. In other words, everybody working outside, they have to go inside a room in a hangar where they can't see anything because they don't want that experimental aircraft to be seen. And so whenever you see sand, just know that there's probably a pipe below there. But my buddy was digging with the backhoe, and they said, hey, everybody come inside. The super secret spacecraft is coming down to land. And he decided to just take one more scoop. And if there was sand in there, it would have saved him. But there was no sand. And he took a 5-inch PVC line, and with his backhoe, he cut a slot in it, and he made a whistle. Like a giant whistle 5 inches wide under high pressure. It blew. It was blowing pure gas. It blew for hours. Who knew how much gas got wasted there? But that thing had to sit there and blow for almost 2 hours while they parked the aircraft inside a hangar. People come back out. They shut the gas off. But anyhow, for heads up to you guys, when you're digging, you see sand. Sand's there to protect a pipe. It lets you know that there's something underneath there. And that's kind of what's going on here. We're kind of putting sand back in, that sort of thing. And let me see what I can show you next. Actually today also throwing down some sod. Hey, Liam, good to see you in here. This is a property that I'm renovating right now, and we laid some sod, some zoya sod. I put down a lot of different grass. I love Bermuda grass, particularly for my own home. That's what I do. This one here, it was better to use the zoysia because we need this thing green right away. Other little treatments that are going on, so that kind of patched in this piece. That'll be green within a week. And then this is actually a little, kind of a walkway up to a larger platform of property. And I went ahead and put in this decorative garden brick. This is the kind of thing that you can actually make a complete driveway out of, and then you can fill it with grass seed and soil, and you'll have grass growing. Be about 50% grass, 50% masonry. But in this case, what I'm doing is I'm just putting this down, and then there's a metal. You can see metal here on both sides. This is going to get filled with a road base. And in fact, you'll see that road base. I have it in here somewhere. Where is that road base? Let me see if I can find that. Anyways. So, but like Liam here is actually a carpenter that's in the group right now watching. And Liam, how many times, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars have you made or saved on the investments? Liam's one of the folks in my class, joined about 3.5 years ago. And he's made about $1 million now so far by being in the class and taking action, by getting a little help and a little bit of direction. And now he's just on his own, running like crazy, making deals, and it's a wonderful thing. But again, Liam's a talented carpenter. We actually trade pictures quite often of the jobs that we're on and the things we're doing. Actually, when he comes into the mentorship class, he shares the projects that he's working on. But anyways, back to what I was showing you earlier. Why is that? Let's see what I got here. Nope. I'll show you the results of that first image that I showed you earlier. Let me see. Yeah, I'll just go up here. I know where the building is. Oops. That's one of the properties I'm looking at right now in Houston. Let's go here. But where I'm going with this, Liam, I know you just came in, is talking about the improvements that we can do. And in fact, this is similar to what we were talking about doing on that one property that you were looking at recently in your neck of the woods. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Jill Creek? No. I'm scrolling through properties that I own, by the way, just to see on the left. I kind of have somewhat in geographic order. But I'm not finding the one I want to show you. I just have to get close. Jeez, so many properties. Let's see where this takes us. This has got to get us close. It's within 10 miles. Let me see, over here. Nope. Yeah. By the way, I've got a webinar this Thursday. I urge you to get into it. At the webinar, you'll learn. You just learn a lot. You'll be surrounded by a smart group of people, making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. Yeah. So here's the property that I was showing you that I was working on. Oh, gosh, nope, not that one. That's another nice retail center, though. So look, I want you to see this. This is the building that I just showed you that had the metalwork with the scissor lifts in the background. That's it. This is what we added. We added all this surface that you see here. And this is what it looked like originally. If I can show you, I can show you in the back. Just kind of an ugly man's art. Right? See that? That's like a green shingled roof. And what I did is I put that metal siding, basically, around half of it, around the front and the side, where that is visible to the freeway, right? You get on the freeway, you're just kind of adding a lot of great signage when you do that, because it's an area that people can see from the road, and that's gold. Okay, that's just it's gold. This is what you want. You've heard before: location, location, location. Well, that usually means visibility, not always visibility. Which, hey, anybody wants to call in, anybody got any real estate stuff they want to talk about, call on in. But I'll share, I can just sit here and ramble forever just by getting distracted. Everything. So Liam just wrote, I just put something in, under contract to buy yesterday. That's great. Liam's just become one of the killers in the group, by the way. I don't even know, he's probably up to 10 properties, getting close. And, and he's got the capacity to tear something down and rebuild it. And that is kind of what I'm talking about. Contractors, people that are carpenters, people that know how to read a tape measure, use a saw, or even if you're a drywall guy, anybody that understands math and really understanding math is like half the money, half the way. It's half of the calculations for making money in real estate, right? You got to know what it's worth. I mean, you got to know not to pay what it's worth. You need to pay considerably less than it's worth in order to make some money when you sell it. So you got to know what it's worth, so you know what to buy it for. Anyways, so talking about location, since we're talking about that, I want to just show you a couple properties. So this one is a great location right here, the one I just showed you. And because it's right off of a freeway, but that's not enough. You can have a freeway that just bypasses, right? It bypasses your area, and then it can be a negative. Well, this freeway has an off-ramp that takes you to this street where the building's located, both directions. So both directions have a street name, off-ramp, makes that property worth considerable amount of money. Also, look at all these homes. Look at all these houses in here. There's just tons and tons of properties. Well, guess what? Everybody here presumably are going to work, and they got to get out of this mess of arteries. And where are they going to go? They go to this major artery right here, which I own probably 60,000 square feet of properties along this artery today. And that artery takes them to this artery that takes them to the main ventricle, right? The main freeway itself right here. So this is a wonderful location for both visibility off the freeway, but also it's considered what I call both the going home side and the going to work side. It's always going to be on the going home side of the road. This one meets that, checks that beautifully. But also let's talk about locations. Again, I'm going to show you a property I bought. I made $1.5 million on this property. I paid $240,000. I sold it for $1,725,000. Now, this may not look like a good location to somebody that really doesn't know much about real estate. They're going to go, oh, you're back here by the railroad tracks, makes noise. You're behind other buildings. Nobody can see you. This isn't that kind of real estate. In other words, when you don't need to see anything when you're driving by. Not all property lends itself to be in retail and need to be seen. We're in a world where our cell phones tell us where everything is. I've stayed in hotels in Los Angeles area that were a better deal than others, but they were almost like in the middle of the neighborhood. You almost wouldn't even know they were there. They were off the beaten path. They weren't obvious to see. But why this is such a great location right here, and why I made $1.5 million on this property, aside of course for buying it right, was the simple fact that where it's located. See this? Again, I was talking about it earlier. Transportation, getting there. This is super well located, because to get to this building, you can go out and you can go this direction and you can catch a freeway going east or west, or you can go out this way and you can catch a freeway, right? Go over the overpass here, and you can go north or south. It's super important that you know, and so don't forget this. Don't lose this. Keep this in your head. If you want to be a good investor, go on the home side of the road and access. You have to have access, because believe me, there's properties. I'll show you a property has a horrible access. Every business that I've ever seen go into this building fails over and over and over again. I've looked at buying the property, but I'm like, yeah, this thing is jinxed big time. But there's a reason. It's not just that it's jinxed, it's just that it's kind of functionally obsolete. And I'll explain what I'm talking about now. Now remember how great this property is. Like I said, it just takes a second to get out of here. In 1 minute, you're heading in the direction you need to go, whether it's north, south, east, or west. Just very, very quick to do that. There's sometimes you'll have in such a situation that it's such a circuitous route to get out, because it has to be, that you spend 10 minutes, and then next thing you know, you're on the freeway and you're driving right by the place that you just left 10 minutes ago, because it's that hard to get back. I'm sure some of you can relate to what I'm talking about. But let me get over to this other property, if I can remember exactly where it's at. Yeah. No, it's over here. I'm looking for a different freeway than this. Let me see what we got here. That's 183. There's Mopac. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is it. Now, this is a property that is, it looks great. You go, oh, wow, that's great location right by the freeway, everything's neat. Not so great. Everything I've ever seen go into this place fails. Just absolutely everything. It was a pretty cool little outdoor venue bar for a while. They had like an outdoor sports courts. You go out there and see people playing volleyball. It was kind of a cool place to hang out. They'd blare the music, and it was good for that, because actually my kids actually played ball at this ball field here, where they've got all these different little league setups here. But it's horrible access. So the freeway looks right over it, because they're kind of sitting down in a hole. And then when you drive by, if you want to go here, this is your only real place to get in and out, right here. And that's kind of a limited access, and it's not ideal to merge onto the freeway. But again, it's really easy to pass up. And again, when you get out, you're heading in. You may not be heading in the direction you want to go, so you have to drive way down the freeway here, right? Get off, and on this one, and then get up here, and to get back and turn around. In order to turn around, you got to go over the overpass, come to here, and you're going to hit a stop sign or a stop light, and then you get back to turn around. And this is what I was talking about, how you can have a location that appears to be good, but when somebody comes and goes, it takes them 10 minutes to get where they were from where they started. They leave here, they come down, they turn around, they hit a light, and now they're looking over their shoulder, and they see where they just left 10 minutes ago. And they think, God, it would have been nice if had a little more direct route home. So just these are things to consider. Hey, by the way, I forgot to put up the live call number here, but certainly anybody wants to call in, there's the number. Talk about anything you want, any question you have. If it's regarding real estate, I've owned just about every kind of property that people drive by every day, made millions of dollars on every type of property that you do drive by. I don't care if it's commercial, industrial, office, houses, whatever, land, trailer parks, food parks, apartment buildings. Alberto Cruz wrote, hey, Tom, if Trump lowers the interest rate, well, Trump can't lower the interest rate, Alberto. He might be able to assert some pressure, but he can't lower the rate, the interest rate. And I don't think it's going to matter, to be honest. But let's go with your question. Hey, Tom, if Trump lowers the interest more, will house prices go up? Yeah, I mean, listen, the cost of houses are always going to go up when the interest rate goes down, because that's part of the equation is the monthly payment. That's what most people decide on, whether they can afford something or not, whether they have a business or whether they have, it's their home, or they're going to buy it so they can rent it to somebody else. The interest has all the impact on it, and if they have the option to pay cash for it, either way, you want to get the highest cap rate you can on a property. So, yeah, Trump doesn't lower interest rate, though, so just so you understand that. So he's got no really, he can influence a little bit, there is some, right? But but what I think you're going to see happen, I've been teaching this in my classes, the way we survive this kind of a downturn, and this is the first downturn like this. In other words, we've had this hyperinflation, and the interest rates have been low. We've had inflation and had the interest rates much higher, so there was room to lower and get things better. But our interest rates really aren't that high historically right now, and inflation is still going up. And so what I would tell you is that the way Trump is going to help the economy is what he's doing. He's making the government more efficient. That's super important. And he's bringing business. He's bringing jobs, right? Bringing jobs is the most important thing, because when jobs come into an area, and like I'm in an area, high-tech area, there's headhunters, there's people that it's constantly a bid war for people that have talent in computers and computer science, I should say, programming, coding, that sort of thing. And so the reason that is they need good people, and so the more business comes into an area, people's wages get bid up, and that's what's going to help the economy more than anything, is people making more money, so that you don't care that eggs are $7 a carton. You don't care that milk is whatever milk is, $4. I don't even know what it is a gallon now. I remember when it was $1 when I was a kid, and parents would scream about me drinking too much milk. But this is what this is kind of what you think about, and but if you're a carpenter, like I said, like Liam or myself, and there's others in my mentorship, that it's easier, but you don't have to be a carpenter. Don't get me wrong. It's good to know a carpenter, if you got a buddy or a relative that knows what they're doing. And a lot of people think certain people know what they're doing and they don't know. That kind of goes for everything, right? But having that capacity to fix and replace, and just being able to read a tape. There's people that can't even nail a picture on the wall because they just didn't have an influence like that would show them how to use a tape measure, that sort of thing. But even if you are going to mess with structural things, definitely you definitely want to have a structural engineer get involved. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a structural engineer that's not like looking for somebody to give you permission, but it's like somebody that's going to keep you safe. They're going to say, it's kind of like a doctor, right? Yeah, don't walk on that. Don't pick up anything over 10 pounds. Well, that's what a structural engineer is. How much is this going to hold? What's the density? What are the things that are going to impact what you're doing structurally? You want to have somebody that can come in and look at that and write it off. And I've had structural engineers actually in my mentorship where we kind of explain that and why I use them. And I always make sure I have an engineer write off on certain things. Yeah, Alberto, as far as there being a 2025 crash, there's definitely going to be a crash for some, okay, for some, not everybody, but it never is everybody. And listen, no matter whether there's a crash or not, there's always room to make money. No matter what, when things are good, there's more money. People are looser, people are less cautious. People that speculate get burned a lot of times. And that's why, what I always teach everybody is, make your money the day you purchase it. Even if properties decline 20, 30% in your area. Well, you don't look at what the price was 3 months ago. You need to look at what it is today and make your best guesstimate of where it's going to be by the time you can resell this. So if you want to get it sold right away, think you can get it sold in 3 months. I mean, things do decline. Even over a period of 3 months, you see things, and things can drop really drastically. If you look at Washington, D.C., where all these lobbyists are really just getting kicked to the curb and all these bullshit jobs that Doge has been finding, there's a mass of properties that have gone up for sale, and those become worthless. And believe me, I've been in areas that have been devastated like that, where everything was for sale. Everything had mostly gone to the bank in certain areas. And when that happens, it just makes everything worth less. You see a beautiful piece of land that might have sold for $1 million last year, and now because that the local economy has just been destroyed because all the people that occupied these houses don't have jobs anymore. All of a sudden, they're going back to the bank, and the bank's not in the business of holding on to real estate, so they have to get rid of it, and at huge losses many times. And so when they go to sell it, basically, people are buying the property. I mean, imagine a piece of land worth $1 million, and then you got a beautiful home on the same kind of piece of land on an adjacent property that has all the equal features and values, and you're getting it for less than the cost of construction. And that can happen. And I can tell you, I have a building actually in this area. It was one of these apartment buildings, right? I bought this apartment building right there for $210,000, and when I bought it for 210, I mean, you couldn't have built it for $1 million. You couldn't. It's 30,000, no, about 21,000 square feet. So, but look forward to the crash as long as you're not going to be part of the crash. I mean, hopefully, you're not in a position where your debt is going to go, cost you more if you have a flexible, it depends on how much money you owe. But I mean, if you have variable rate, it will sting you, it will hurt you a little bit, unless you put some stops in there to protect it from going up more than a certain amount. But look, somebody call in. Anybody got? I'm going to close up if somebody doesn't call in. It is. I got the webinar this Thursday, which I hope everybody here that is interested in real estate can jump in. And you have to send out that MailChimp, son. Let people know again. Listen. I just tell you, you need to step outside your comfort level. A lot of people, they're just wallflowers. They're afraid to speak up, step up, ask a question. Don't fall into that category. Jeff Davis, actually a contractor that I used to work for many years ago, I hope he's still alive, he's a real good character. He would say, yeah, well, you can't win the lottery unless you buy a ticket, meaning, if you don't reach out, or if you don't reach out, you're never going to know. You don't ask a question, you're not going to get the answer, you're never going to know. And that's the thing is there's so many people today, I'm starting to sound like my grandpa, right? Everybody's weak and worthless. There's so many people today, they're afraid to even ask a question. They're afraid to fail. And listen, you can't be afraid to fail. If you're not failing, it means you're not trying. You can have micro failures all the time. Every day you try something. It's like, taking a swing and you tip the ball or you miss the ball completely. Well, you got two more pitches to swing at. You just got to make sure that you swing at one that's in the zone that you're going to hit, and that's the most important thing. And a lot of people don't get that. But anyways, if like I say, if you fit that, if you're 30, 40, 50 years old and you're not already a millionaire, you certainly could be one in a relatively short time. And if you don't believe me, then I would just urge you to go to flipanythingusa.com and take a look at the success stories at Flip Anything USA, and you'll see people that you can identify with. I got a guy in here with 9 kids, and he bought his adult kids the book, which you don't have the book. You should certainly get the book too. I'm reminding myself what to do. Get the book too, because the book will get you headed in the right direction, and the mentorship will just help you. Be like on steroids with the book. Anyhow, but like I say, you're looking at many new real estate millionaires, and they made these millions just in the last couple of years. And I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. It's true. This isn't me saying he's probably gonna make, or this is possible. I'm telling you, you're gonna see real estate deals, real people making real money, and you can be a part of that. And I hope you are a part of that. Unfortunately, there's so much garbage out there that people do get misled. I mean, YouTube is a giant university of scumbags. It really is. There's just so much garbage. And so, and they don't tell you that. I tell you that because I know what I'm selling is gold, okay? But there is so much garbage out there. Ramon Sanchez wrote, I don't do stucco or install windows, but I know how to do bathrooms, kitchens, and flooring. I am able to save $50K on my rental by just doing the interior myself and hiring the exterior. Yeah, absolutely. Well, but see, Ramon, here's the deal. You know how to read a tape measure. You know how to estimate. I mean, obviously you take an inventory, and really, that's why I say being a contractor is not a whole lot different. I mean, really, it's not being any different than like being a producer of a movie. You know what I mean? You're kind of looking at the money, the cost of talent, and that sort of thing. Well, that's what you're doing with a remodel. Like you're hiring somebody to do the counters, build the cabinets. If you don't do any of it, you got somebody tiling the floor. I guess you know how to tile floors possibly. But, all that stuff. And like you're doing remodels, Ramon, but if you ever were doing new construction, the advantage of doing new construction is that you're constantly going onto a job, and you'll start to know, you'll see the same framer there, framing every single house and you'll see the same drywaller that's sheetrock on those same houses, the same tile guy, the same insulation guy. And so you kind of already know who the good guys are. The guys that have talent are the guys that continue to work for contractors for years. It's kind of a qualifying factor. In other words, if you see the same people on the job all the time, it means they're reliable, they get the job done, and they know what they're doing. Otherwise, the builder wouldn't be using them. So it's super important you contact, you always look for references. If you're not a builder and you don't already know who the players are, meaning the people that know how to, build of the different types of building or the different subcontracting that goes on, then you are totally reliable. You need to absolutely do reviews on people. And I'm not talking about, hey, this handyman got a pretty good reputation, or someone from the church tells you to use this guy. Forget that. You need like real reviews if they're on Angie's list, or if there's somebody that, I always say, show me some of your work. Give me an address. Give me the name of somebody you did some work for. You want to hear somebody else say that, oh yeah, they did a great job. You want to go look at their work. They should have a job going currently, so you can go look and see what their crew looks like. A lot, and I'll tell you, there's a long time ago, and I had to tell anybody that did work for me. I've got a big crew now, people that I've known for decades that do work for me. But people used to, when they needed help, they'd go over to Home Depot, and there'd be like 100, illegal aliens standing around just waiting to be picked up. And somebody talked to them in Spanish. Do you know how to do this? Do you know this? And say, well, $50 a day. Yeah. Oh yeah. And then, 5 jump in the truck. And all of a sudden you got 5 strangers working in your yard. So I tell guys, I don't want any of those fucking guys in my property. I don't want anybody you don't know. I'd say, if you don't know them, and if they pick up 5 strangers and tell them what to do all day, they don't know them. And so I'd say, you don't put anybody in my jobs that you don't personally know, because it's like potentially inviting a thief into your property. Adam, good to see you in here again, Adam. Adam Ursi said, I was going to make an offer on a house, but had too many structural issues on a bank-owned property. Yeah, and that happens a lot. In fact, I'm pushing on buying a property right now, and they all of a sudden they kind of put the brakes on things. And I thought, well, I guess there's another offer on this. I asked the agent today, and he said, no. He said, but we are getting a phase 2. I go, well, why are you getting a phase 2? I said, unless somebody asked for it. He goes, well, we did have a phase 1 a while back, and the phase 1 recommended a phase 2. And I said, well, look just let me read it. Maybe it doesn't matter, because a lot of people get worried about phase 2s, and they should. But there's also, if you understand what you're doing, it's not always as big a concern as you think. Sometimes it's a huge concern. It just depends on the history. But DeVell Lip wrote, nobody from Home Depot. Yeah, and I don't mean the people working inside the Home Depot. I'm telling you, they used to just line up. You could go to like a Home Depot, and there'd be like I said, it'd be 50 Mexicans primarily, standing at the end of the lot. And they're just looking for a contractor to come by. Who wants to dig? Who wants to, what I mean? The guy picks up 5, 10 guys and takes them on a job. They dig with their asses off. They work their asses off. I love Mexican population. Don't get me wrong. I have many, many friends, that came here from Mexico, some legally, some illegally. And the ones that I've ever hired, everybody's a hard worker, knows what they're doing. And I got to say, they learn quickly. And so there's lots of talent out there. And by the way, none of them work cheap. It isn't like you just go get somebody talented for $50 a day. That doesn't happen. But there is people that are talented, and just like China. China is, they know they have a pretty good margin on the products that they make. And I know because I'll see somebody that comes in to take them out and sell something cheaper, and they can always adjust their prices down. That's why I don't think the tariffs are going to be a big deal at all, to be honest. Alberto says, Tom, I've been getting letters about equity loans that I won't have to make a payment, but when I sell my house, then I will have to pay the equity. The loan back will take that. So here's the deal, Alberto. Don't get a typical HELOC. you want an R-lock, okay? R meaning revolving. If you want to borrow money against your house, don't just borrow it and put the money in the bank. You want to have a revolver. You want to have something that you can borrow the money. In other words, I'll give you an example. You can buy a property and have a loan for $1 million available to you. In other words, the day you close, say you pay cash for the property, so you have $1 million equity, but on that same day, there's a lien on your property for $1 million. Now, you're not paying interest on it. That's the key thing. You don't want to pay interest on that money, but you want to have that money readily available for you so that when you find a property that's worth, $500,000, you can write a check for it. And you can close the deal in a week for $250,000, $300,000. That's where you make your money. So Cubano says, "Hey, Dad, praying." Cubano, I've had this experience a few times in the past. You got a name? We've actually had some really nice people that looking for advice, and believe me, listen, that's really what you need is somebody that you can trust. And listen, I can tell you right now, I got no interest in taking any money from anybody here unless they want to learn from me personally. Then I'll charge you for it. But when I come on here and talk like this, of course, I don't care. This gives me an opportunity to demonstrate to you guys my experience, and that's what I do. And that's what the fake gurus can't do. They can't do it. They talk all this stupid bullshit, pat each other on the back, and talk about nothing. You're not going to hear fluff like that here. Adam wrote, "I sold." What's that mean? Let me see. I got to follow you. Where are you at, Adam? I was going to make an offer on a house, but had instructions on bank-owned property. I don't know. Maybe you're answering somebody else. Develop wrote, "How much cash would you recommend having in the bank before investing in real estate?" I would like to see. I would like to see that you have at least 10 grand in the bank. I mean, I tell anybody, if you're going to get in my class, I don't even want you in my class unless you can pay cash for the class and still have $10,000 left over. That's a minimum. And if you're 30 or 40, I still say no to you because you need to have more money than that. I mean, I'm concerned for you if you don't have more money than that when you're 30, because you should be able to save that. And if you haven't saved that, then or you don't have that much more than that in equity in something, it's an indication that there might be a little problem there. Cubano, I've been calling you Dad for like 7 years on here. I changed my name though. Okay, your name's going to come to me. Are you trying to set me up with your mom too? Is that right? I can't remember. Develop, that's it. Yeah, well, I mean, here's the deal at Develop. I've engaged in properties that I couldn't afford to buy. But I tied them up. I go, I can get this thing for $300,000, and I'm only gonna have to pay whatever $40,000 for it. But I don't have the 40, but I have 10 grand, and I can at least say, here, I'll give you 10,000 down. I'll give you the other 30, in a month or 6 months or whatever. Those are the kinds of things that you can negotiate. But listen, the thing is if you don't have $10,000, you can't really demonstrate that you're serious. I say it all the time. You test sincerity with the wallet, and I demonstrate sincerity with the wallet. Like if you and I were bidding against something, I'm probably going to just say, all right, I'll put $30,000 deposit down on a property that costs $40,000. I might do that because it's to reassure them that the money's there. There's not an issue with money. Money is not an issue, and that's what people need to understand. You want to make people feel very comfortable. Continuing, a property, so Adam wrote, I took a hit on the capitalization cost on taxes, even though I bought it under market, even with a long-term capital gain. Oh, I got you, Adam. Alberto Rose says, so you took an RR loan, I call it an R-lock loan, is better than, but not a HELOC. Okay, it sounds like you're using voice text, which I do the same time. Now I know why everybody complains. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, just be clear. Whatever they call it different things. What you do, Alberto, is when you Just you want a revolving line of credit. We're talking about a revolving line of credit, and you can, there's other things you can do. There's drawdown notes. There's different things. One time I bought a building for $1,050,000, and I put $1 million down. Actually, I think I put $1,028,000 down, and I did a 1031. So I would have had to pay a substantial amount of taxes on that $1,028,000, but I rolled that whole $1,028,000 into the purchase of something that cost $1,050,000. But the day we closed, the bank had given me, I think, an 80% loan to value drawdown note. So I was able to, I could write a check for $800,000 the day that I closed the property, because that's kind of equity. But I wasn't paying any interest on it. I just had it available to me. Hey, Just Robert, good to see you in here. Please rewrite your message. I started to read it. I know you've been here watching me for 4 years, and you've done amazing. Just Robert, he's like basically a YouTube student. And Robert, I keep looking for an email from you. Tom at flipanythingusa.com. Please do it. Develop wrote, your son-in-law brought me here. Oh, good. Oh, I know who you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Good deal. Appreciate that. Glad you're in here. Yeah. Well, actually, it's, my future son-in-law, actually, he's talking about. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, and, whatever, maybe I'll talk to you someday. Maybe I guess I'll see you at the wedding next week, possibly. Yeah, Brian's a good kid. Really, really happy to have him in the family. And, yeah, but they're those of you guys watching, listen, this is what I tell you. Worst thing that can happen is somebody young being taken advantage of. In fact, this is funny. Somebody wrote in the comments yesterday, Pace Morby's now loaning people that don't have money. He's loaning them money. What's he loaning them money for? To buy his course? Okay? Because I think that's what they're talking about. So now it's like, oh, how much you got? Okay, give me that, and you can pay me the balance over time. I don't know that that's what's going on, but I have heard at least of one situation where they're starting to finance people for younger students, or for students that don't have money. They're financing the sub 2, which I might be a good way to, at least you could maybe get your foot out of the door if you find out that what you stepped into stinks. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyways, so look, somebody call in. Somebody's got to have a question. Does everybody know everything about real estate? If you know everything about real estate, don't call. Okay. Anyways, love to get a question here from somebody that's interested in making money. I got to tell you, I went to some sort of real estate webinar, and I went there just to kind of see. I was checking I'm probably going to start doing some webinars, locally and out of state. Maybe do a big one in Vegas. And anyways, so I went to this thing, and there was 40 people, and I was in the audience, and this gal, kind of a cute gal, comes out, and she says, "How many people want to make money in real estate?" And I raised my hand, and I almost felt odd because I was the only one that raised my hand. And then somebody behind me actually saw me, and so they raised their hand. But it was all these guys that were just like sheepish, fuck, why are you here? Why are you here? If you don't want to make money in real estate, why the fuck are you here? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And that was somebody that actually, they drove to a seminar and sat down and took a seat in a real estate seminar. And when the person said, "How many people want to make money?" my hand came up, and I wasn't even there to make money. I was there to just see what they were doing. Bro, those gurus are trash. Yeah, that's funny. Not everybody is trash. I mean, I'm not, but I understand. I appreciate the comment and the compliment. Cubano wrote, makes me want to get a Cubano, okay, and have a mojito. I'm taking my mortgage broker exam next month. Oh, good for you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know who you are now. I still can't remember your name, though. I can't remember your name. Was it with the radio tower? Radio tower? Almost bought the radio tower, right? Was that you? There's a handful of you out there. But glad to see you in here. Listen, as long as you stay motivated, this is one thing I'll say that the fake gurus, that is good about them. And it's not that they're good, but what's good about their presence is that if their bullshit gets you motivated, and I talked to Ben Mall about this, and I said, doesn't it irritate the shit out of you? See these fake guys, talking all this bullshit when they haven't done this stuff? And he says, well, it gives them some motivation anyways, and which I like Ben real well, and Ben is definitely the real deal. But he still can't teach as much as I can. I'll tell you why. Because I am buying the kinds of property that everybody drives by every single day, the stuff that everybody can afford. I still buy properties. I paid $80,000 for a property that's worth $400. Okay, so who couldn't come up with $80,000 here? That's what's important. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Develop anywhere is good. Listen, I got a brother in Idaho. Got a good buddy in Idaho. I was there just recently shooting guns in Idaho. I picked up the M1 that I bought my dad almost 40 years ago. I bought my dad an M1 Garand. So I picked that up and brought that back home. And, but yeah, it doesn't matter. You can make money anywhere. My students, I think we cover all 50 states now. And, there's opportunities absolutely everywhere. There's no bad real estate. There's just bad deals. Don't make a bad deal, then you'll make a fortune. So anyways, you guys are disappointing me by not calling in. But I don't want you to call in if you don't have a question. So anyways, but all these properties you see here and many, many more, every single one of these has an exciting story behind it. Every one of them is something I've purchased, made money on. Some millions of dollars on, everything you can imagine, land, houses, big buildings, apartments, commercial, retail, strip centers, industrial buildings, all that stuff, anything I hear you see. Get the book developed. Don't waste any time. Go get my book. Again, here, I'll pop it up here so you guys can see it. Get a copy of Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It'd be the best $10, $20 you ever spent. Anyhow, but I do appreciate you looking in. And but those of you out there, all this stuff out here, like I say, I could just randomly click on any of these, and it's a deal. It's something I've made money on. I almost hate to say deal anymore because fake gurus have ruined the word for me. They've also kind of ruined the word for me. But, like this is one of my favorite properties, by the way. This is a 20,000 square foot building. It's a flex space, right? I love flex space, and because flex. What does flex imply? Versatility, right? Flexible versatility. So you can have everything from a CrossFit in here to a nuclear physicist, which I have in there actually. There's just it's just amazing how many ways there are to make money. And when you own a lot of real estate, I have hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals, and all the different talent that's in these different buildings that have been paying me checks, some of them for 20 plus years. Hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in rents. And the reason that happens, is there's just so many different ways to make money. It doesn't matter if it's a restaurant or a caterer or, like I said, a nuclear physicist or, I've had many software companies. So, people are worried about office. I love office. My offices are full, and they've been full. They did well through COVID and everything else. And listen, don't let any of the naysayers tell you it can't happen, but you certainly need to look in for yourself and go to my free webinar tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central. Don't miss it. If you can't make it, I understand. But what you can do, if you can't make it, then what you can do is you can go to the website itself, and you can just go to the website itself and just click on webinar, and then I'll have your email, and then I'm not going to pester you. I'm never going to sell your email to anybody else, but you can you can apply for mentorship, which is this is what I would tell everybody to do, because it tells me what I need to know about you. I'm going to ask you how much money you got in the bank, are available to invest, not because I want your money, but it's I can't help you unless I kind of know the situation you're in. But there is a fortune to be had out there, and you just got to you just need a little guidance. You just need a little bit of guidance. So look forward to seeing you guys in the webinar tomorrow. You want to learn how to make millions of dollars in real estate? I've made tens of millions over my lifetime, and I'm showing people how to do it. Get in my free webinar. I have it every Thursday, 7 p.m. Central. Go to the link below, flipanythingusa.com/webinar. Sign up for it. You can talk to me face to face if you want. Don't waste any time. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss my channel. I've been doing it for years. Hey, Tom here. Look, wholesalers, flippers, investors, listen, you want to get good guidance. You want to build a portfolio. This is what it really looks like to be a successful real estate investor. Been doing it for 4.5 decades, have hundreds of thousands of square feet of rentals, have students that have become millionaires in as little as 2 years. Go to flipanythingusa.com. I'll show you how to do it.